Imagine a world where the sun shining over Britain isn't just a pleasant surprise. It's a powerful engine transforming how households and businesses power their lives. Now imagine that revolution may be at risk. Right now, the UK is in the midst of a staggering solar energy boom. But beneath these glowing headlines, critical systemic challenges could upend the green dream. In April 2025, the UK smashed records, with solar PV generating a jaw-dropping 12.7 gigawatts of power in a single day. Rooftop solar panels are sprouting up faster than ever. 57,000 certified installations in the first quarter of the year alone, the highest since 2012. Over 1.7 million homes and businesses now tap into the sun, bringing solar energy to every corner of the map. That's not just impressive, it's historic. But here's the million-pound question. Is the UK's solar surge truly sustainable, or are we racing towards a future powered by fragile assumptions and overlooked threats? This isn't just about solar panels and headlines, it's about the very foundation of the UK's energy future, how we heat our homes, run our cars, and crank up our kettles for that all-important cup of tea. By 2035, the government wants a colossal $70 gigawatt of solar capacity online, part of an ambitious plan to fully decarbonize the grid. The stakes? Nothing less than the UK's climate commitments and its global reputation as a green powerhouse. But what does it take to build an energy transition at this scale? What are the hidden obstacles lurking behind the numbers? And who really benefits from this new solar economy? Let's start by stepping back. The UK wasn't always on track to become a solar success story. Less than 2 decades ago, solar power was a rare sight across British rooftops. The UK, after all, is famously not the sunniest country. In 2010, only a handful of pioneering homeowners dared to install those early, expensive solar panels. But everything changed with the introduction of government feed-in tariffs. Suddenly, solar was not just for eco-enthusiasts. It became a sound investment. Prices for solar PV systems began to plummet, dropping by more than 80% since 2010. By 2013, renewables accounted for nearly 15% of Britain's electricity generation, a seismic shift. Fast forward to 2025. The solar industry has matured at lightning speed. New building regulations now encourage or require solar panels on new homes. More than 40% of new houses built in England at the end of 2024 came with solar panels already installed. It's hard to overstate just how massive this transformation has been. Ian Rippon, CEO of the Microgeneration Certification Scheme, recently declared, "The figures show that consumers are continuing to turn to solar panels to provide them with homegrown energy." That sense of empowerment isn't confined to homeowners. Solar farms and commercial rooftop installations are multiplying across the country. Innovations like bifacial solar modules, able to harvest sunlight from both sides of the panel, are now favored in almost 9 out of 10 UK rooftop projects. These modules are lifting output even under Britain's notorious cloud cover. But while solar is shining ever brighter, there are shadows on the horizon. First, let's not ignore the impressive numbers. As of March 2025, the UK surpassed 18 gigawatts of solar capacity. Solar outpaced coal in electricity generation throughout 2024, providing over 9% of the country's power during peak summer months. These are huge milestones for a nation still phasing out fossil fuels. Gemma Grimes from Solar Energy UK puts it well. The new build sector is becoming more and more important as a driver for growth in smaller-scale solar energy installations. But retrofitting panels to existing homes and other buildings remains the largest segment, showing public confidence in solar benefits. It's a revolution charging ahead on 2 fronts: new homes and old, businesses and private households, city rooftops and country fields. Solar energy is enabling millions to slash bills and shrink carbon footprints. On the surface, it seems the sun never sets on the UK's solar ambitions. But is it all shining as brightly as it appears? Scratch beneath the surface and troubling complexities emerge. For one, the very growth driving this boom threatens to outpace the UK's ability to integrate solar smoothly into the national grid. Energy infrastructure is groaning under the pressure of variable supply. Solar's productivity soars on clear days, but plummets at night or during the UK's infamous grey spells. The mismatch between when power is generated and when it's needed is a core technical headache. Bifacial panels and cutting-edge string inverters help squeeze more energy from the sun, but they can't solve the problem of intermittency. Without robust, scalable energy storage, think batteries or new forms of grid-scale storage, huge surges of solar energy risk going to waste while demand goes unmet at other times. The dream of a solar-powered Britain is colliding with the hard reality of how our electricity system was designed. And then there's the policy paradox. The government's goal of $70 by 2035 is bold, but how realistic is it? Consider this. Solar has grown faster than many dared to dream just a decade ago. Yet, despite record generation, its actual share in the UK's energy mix is consistently overestimated in official forecasts. There's a widening gap between sun-soaked projections and the gritty reality of year-round power needs. The current models used to predict future contributions from solar are, according to several leading analysts, far too optimistic, ignoring climate variability, storage limitations, and grid bottlenecks. Bridging that gap is proving difficult. The UK's green regulations made headlines for their ambition, but follow-through is increasingly in question. There's mounting pressure to ensure that every new home comes with solar as standard. Yet critics, like Lily Rose from Greenpeace UK, call it an absolute scandal that many properties are still being built without panels. This lack of consistency isn't just a policy quibble, it has real consequences for how fast the nation can scale solar in practice. Meanwhile, large-scale solar farms face opposition over land use, biodiversity concerns, and visual impact. Urban installations must navigate complex planning permissions and local objections. Even rooftop retrofits on older buildings often run afoul of structural limitations and outdated regulations. But perhaps the most looming issue isn't found in planning documents or solar hardware, it's in the very wiring of the UK's aging grid. Integrating thousands of decentralized energy sources presents challenges that simply didn't exist when the system was built for centralized, fossil fuel-fired power plants. Delays in grid connection for new solar projects are becoming a costly bottleneck. Gemma Grimes warns, retrofitting panels to existing homes and other buildings remains the largest segment, showing public confidence in solar benefits. But what happens if the grid can't keep up with public enthusiasm? And the clock is ticking. The UK's legally binding net zero targets for 2050 and the 2035 decarbonization goal for the grid demand solutions far faster than the slow gears of bureaucracy and infrastructure upgrades typically allow. If the bottlenecks aren't broken, could this solar boom become a bubble on the verge of bursting? More fundamentally, who stands to gain from the UK's solar surge? Are the economic benefits reaching everyday families and small businesses, or are risks being shouldered by consumers while major energy firms and new tech giants reap the windfall? The rise of smart grids, new battery technologies, and next-generation solar panels, like the much-hyped perovskite cells, could change the rules of the game, but will they arrive in time to avert a stalling of the sector? There's no question that the UK's solar revolution is real and accelerating, but as the euphoria builds, crucial questions remain unanswered. Will the country's ambitions be tripped up by its own momentum? Or can new technologies and forward-thinking policies turn record-breaking growth into a stable, equitable, and genuinely green energy future? As sunlight pours across the UK's rooftops and fields, an urgent dilemma comes into focus. The world is watching. Can Britain's solar surge survive the gathering storm of grid constraints, policy gaps, and technical hurdles? In the next part, we'll uncover what's stopping the solar dream from becoming reality for everyone, and whether the solutions on the horizon are enough to keep the lights on, rain or shine. But with these record-breaking achievements in mind, let's step into the future. What's at stake if the UK gets this solar transition right or wrong? What will our lives, our bills, and our climate look like as a result? Picture a Britain where rooftop solar panels glint from every neighborhood, where even historic towns quietly hum with clean electricity. It's not far-fetched. In just the first quarter of 2025, we saw over 57,000 new certified rooftop solar installations. That's more than any Q1 since 2012. A solar surge so dramatic it's turning local councils and new home developers into unexpected heroes of the energy transformation. But progress like this isn't a straight line. Let's unpack what might happen next, because the solar future is anything but guaranteed. Imagine 3 roads branching out from today. Along the first path, the road of continued expansion, the UK successfully tackles its bottlenecks. We see smart investments in grid upgrades, new battery hubs, and incentives for cutting-edge home energy management systems. Advanced bifacial panels, already preferred in 87% of new projects, become the norm, gobbling up more sunlight and even soaking up reflected rays from a typically cloudy sky. Communities everywhere begin to sell their excess power back to the grid, slashing bills and, over time, displacing the last remnants of coal and gas. Under this scenario, the government not only meets but exceeds its bold target of 70 gigawatts of solar by 2035. The result? Cleaner air, lower carbon emissions, and energy independence. Experts like Ian Rippon, CEO of the MCS, predict this could be the single biggest step the UK takes toward a decarbonized economy. Consumers are continuing to turn to solar panels to provide them with homegrown energy. But there's a second, darker path: stunted growth. Here, grid upgrades stall, and outdated infrastructure can't handle solar's boom. Policy promises are made but not kept, resulting in a patchwork system with energy bottlenecks and frequent curtailment, where panels are forced to shut off because the grid can't take the power. This outcome has real-world consequences: wasted potential, economic losses, and frustrated homeowners who invested in solar only to see their returns dwindle. Large projects are shelved, investor confidence crashes, and the UK risks falling behind not only climate goals, but also the economic benefits enjoyed by more agile, solar-savvy nations. And then there's the most intriguing scenario: decentralized revolution. Instead of waiting for national solutions, local communities and tech startups take the lead. Smart microgrids pop up in suburbs, villages, and city districts. Equipped with AI-powered energy management, advanced battery storage, and peer-to-peer energy trading, these local systems turn neighborhoods into independent powerhouses. It's a grassroots energy rebellion that could, if scaled up, rewire our whole relationship with electricity, making the national grid less of a bottleneck and more of a backup. Which future unfolds depends on more than just technology. It's about political will, visionary business models, and, crucially, people power. How ordinary Britons, from homeowners to renters, view and participate in the transformation. So, what lessons can we take from this unfolding solar story? How does it matter to you, not just as a number in a national statistic, but as an individual, a family, a bill payer, a community member? First, let's get practical. If you're a homeowner, or even if you're renting, it pays to be proactive. The market is surging. Solar panel costs have dropped over 80% since 2010, and installation standards are higher than ever. New builds are increasingly solar-ready, with over 40% of new homes in England last quarter integrating solar. But there's still a huge retrofitting opportunity. Most of the UK housing stock predates the solar revolution, and the current boom is just scratching the surface. Retrofitting panels to older homes remains the largest and most impactful segment of the market. If you're planning to buy or renovate, research local incentives, check for certified installers, and consider future-proofing with battery storage. Even a modest battery can buffer you from peak energy costs or outages. Don't forget to look into community buying schemes, where neighborhoods join forces to get lower prices and push for faster grid connections. Not a homeowner? You're not locked out. Local authorities are beginning to experiment with solar schemes for council houses, flats, and shared buildings. As a tenant, it's worth pressing landlords or local councils for upgrades. Changing regulations mean that soon, solar could become a basic right, not a luxury. And, with the rise of community-owned solar farms and cooperatives, you may be able to own a slice of the solar future even if you never put a panel on your own roof. Second, don't underestimate your influence as a consumer and a voter. In a 2025 interview, Standard Chartered's Marissa Drew put it plainly: a great deal of power lies in the consumer wallet. The choices you make, from switching to green tariffs to demanding better building standards, send powerful signals to policymakers and businesses. Every time a family installs panels, every local campaign for grid reform, every vote for a candidate who supports clean infrastructure pushes the UK closer to that best-case, solar-powered scenario. Third, stay curious and demand transparency. As solar grows, so do myths and marketing ploys. Some companies overpromise, exaggerating the impact of solar on your household bills, or promising stress-free returns. The reality is nuanced. Solar may slash your daytime energy use, but true independence relies on integration with batteries, time-of-use tariffs, and grid-smart appliances. Educate yourself, check regulators' websites, and don't fall for the hype. If you work in tech, finance, or construction, pay attention. This is also a once-in-a-generation career opportunity. The solar sector is short on skilled technicians, project managers, policy innovators, and data wizards. Whether you're fresh out of college or looking to reskill, there's enormous demand for people who can design smarter panels, build flexible grids, or develop the next wave of AI-powered energy management. Let's zoom out and face the big question we started with. Can the UK overcome its solar challenges, or will the revolution stall, or worse, backfire? The answer right now is both hopeful and honest. The UK is at a crossroads. The numbers, over 1.7 million certified systems, record generation days, solar on nearly half of new homes, show unstoppable momentum. Market confidence is rising, public support remains robust, and the economics of solar make more sense than ever. And yet, beneath these triumphs, the risks are real. Grid delays, planning backlogs, and intermittent supply are not abstract headaches. They're already limiting how much solar the UK can use. Without a new wave of grid modernization, storage investment, and smarter policy, we could see wasted watt hours, frustrated families, and missed climate targets. But there are reasons for real optimism. As technology leans in, so does innovation. Advanced bifacial modules now dominate new projects, wringing every drop of energy from each ray of British sun. Yes, even on a rainy Tuesday in Manchester. Smart inverters, deployed in nearly 70% of new builds, help smooth out local grid hiccups. The next frontier? Perovskite solar cells, promising ultra-thin, ultra-efficient panels that could turn windows and building facades into miniature power plants. And here's the secret that few headlines mention. The single biggest leap isn't technological, it's organizational. The UK's future energy security will hinge on how rapidly and equitably we empower communities to own, operate, and benefit from solar. The cities and towns that forge local microgrids, build storage hubs, and launch energy-sharing platforms will leapfrog bureaucratic bottlenecks and create blueprints for a new kind of prosperity. So, what can you do next? If you're inspired to join the solar wave, start at home. Find out what incentives exist, check whether your roof or building is suitable, and talk with neighbors about pooling your buying power. If you're already a solar owner, advocate for grid upgrades and fair energy trading rules, so you and your community can get the best value from every watt generated. And if you're just starting your energy journey, stay informed. Watch how microgrids, AI, and next-gen batteries are changing the landscape. Above all, don't let the complexities scare you off. Every revolution has growing pains, and the solar one is no different. But with grit, smart choices, and a dose of British invention, the UK can keep its solar momentum surging, not for a select few, but for everyone. Thanks for watching, and if you found this deep dive useful, hit subscribe.